Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Wade Minter, the voice inside PNC Arena, and you're watching the Florida Caniac Perspective.
Hello and welcome to the Florida Caniac Perspective. I am the Florida Caniac and we are moments away from hockey coming back. Hope you enjoyed the exhibition game. It's a start and let's get right to it. Today's episode we're going to be doing a little one last preview of this series against the New York Rangers, and I'm also going to be introducing you to the people that are going to be part of the broadcast of the watch party for NBC Sports Network, and I'm also going to dive into one of your questions from hashtag #AskFloridaCaniac. However, first of all, it's great to see these boys heading to Toronto and back on the ice, and thank you for those that went to PNC Arena and showed your support out there. There was a ton of cars from what I saw out there, and some great video was sent to me as well from some of you guys, so thank you for, again, your support. So let's look at the numbers against the New York Rangers one last time before we see these guys on the ice. Carolina has a slight advantage in the record, and it also helps when the Rangers have played a little bit more games as well to establish that record just below theirs as well. The big number that really stands out is the penalty kill percentage, which is a huge advantage over the Carolina Hurricanes. 83.9, might as well call it 84%, versus New York's 77 penalty kill percentage. That is one of the very few aspects that there's going to be a huge advantage for Carolina on overall as well. The other advantage is the goals against per game. As you can see there, a slight difference, 2.84 versus 3.14. Hey, that's pie. With that said, everything else is pretty even across the board. So defensively, Carolina has the advantage. Offensively, this team is even. However, the big factor that's going to come into play for both of these teams is going to be the goaltending. We know who we have as our goaltenders, Mrazek and Reimer. It's just a question again of who is going to be that one goaltender that's going to step above and get the job done. The Rangers have a little bit of a three-headed monster out there, led by Henrik Lundqvist. There is two other guys that's on that goaltending situation that the Rangers have that could fill in the void that if Lundqvist does not step up to the task. So it's really going to be hard to determine how this is going to work overall. A lot of experts are now starting to say the Rangers could possibly win this series and kind of steal one away in about 5 games against this very good Carolina Hurricanes team that we have loved and supported for all this time. However, much like you out there in the Caniac Nation, there is no chance I'm going to root against the Carolina Hurricanes for sure. I have the Canes winning this thing in 4 or 5 games. I have been saying that to this day. Since day one, it's going to come down to goaltending and penalty killing for sure. And I tell you what, the Hurricanes are for sure going to win this thing. So here's a recap of the broadcast schedule for the Rangers versus the Hurricanes. As you can see, the first game will be on Saturday at 12 at noon, as it will possibly be locally on Fox Sports Network for you guys, and for most of us from a national point of view, NBC Sports Network. However, I want you guys to focus more on Game 2 right now, which will be taking place Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Most likely will be on NBC Sports Network from a national point of view, and a few of us, 10 of us together, got invited to be a part of a watch party via Microsoft Teams while the game is going on. And there's a very good chance we're going to be seen on national TV as well. Myself was included, and I got to get everybody together via Zoom to kind of talk about it and what it was like to be selected on that whole special event that NBC Sports Network has graciously put us to be a part of. Check this out. You have a pretty interesting tie-in with the Charlotte Checkers. You said something about you had a dog that dropped the puck at a Checkers game. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, usually at the last game of the year, they do bring your dog to the game day. So they had a auction and we won, and Sophie got to drop the puck before the game. So she wasn't too thrilled about it. She was like, yeah, whatever. But I like being the center icing and the drop it up.
We are the loudest house in the NHL. We've got to keep it up. We've got to keep it going. It's nothing for us to sit there and say we're going to be the loudest, quiet house.
And sports have been what we've all about. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where my dad loved sports and grew up in D.C., so he took me to Redskin games. And when he asked me what I'd like to do on my birthday, we went to the Uline Arena to see the Washington, at that time, Hockey Lions play. So I grew up around sports my whole life.
My 60th birthday is the 5th. So we figured the game's going to go over, and we're actually going to get my birthday, and they got me a Hurricanes cake and everything. So you might be able to see a picture of that during the broadcast or something.
We absolutely love it. I mean, how many couples do you know date their spouse 42 times at least a year and at least one away game? We just love it. It's something we both enjoy, embrace, and we can do it together.
It's fun to play, so even more fun to watch too. So just always going to the games was a fun time.
Anyone who knows Jacob, it's always all glory to God. And I just appreciate how humble he is, how hard he works, how dedicated of a family man he is. But always what's impressive about him is, like, even on that New Year's game, when all of those young guys were like hightailing it out of there, driving right past the fans as we're all standing at the exit of the arena, he was pretty much like one of the only guys that stopped, and he does it religiously.
To learn more about these great individuals that got selected on here, including myself, check out my 4th episode of the Florida Caniac podcast. And now on to today's Ask Florida Caniac question. If you'd like to be a part of it, just simply add the hashtag Ask Florida Caniac to any of my social medias and post a comment with your question. Simple as that. Today's comes from Richard Lorith, longtime Hurricane fan for X amount of years, and he's asking about the defensive situation with Pesce and Hamilton. Mostly Hamilton being somewhat out, and Pesce still out for a time being with his injury, and now with Hamilton going on. And he put a comment here thinking maybe Florida can kind of fill in that void. Well, lucky for us Caniacs out there, they have released a 31-man roster for the Hurricanes that's going to Toronto, and it includes Pesce and Hamilton, indicating the possibility that Hamilton will be okay for later into this series and even into the next couple rounds. Pesce more likely going to be a long-term solution, assuming that Carolina moves into later rounds doing overall, so they can get their full defensive core out there. So to answer your question, Richard, I feel this team's going to be okay. They have a lot of depth going on at defense. As you can see, Brady Shea's a big pickup there. Jacob Slavin's going to really carry that load as well. And Jake Gardner, let's not forget about him. He's actually going to be a really good power play presence for this team as well. Trevor Van Riemsdyk is going to be filling in a lot of that void as well, I feel. Sammy Vatanen is going to have a pretty good spot out there as well. And there's even a call of Roland McEwen that will be on the roster as well. And don't forget about Jake Bean, another call-up for this roster at the same time. And Eddie himself, Joel Edmondson. So overall, this team is very, very, very stacked on defense. And I think they can handle the void that Hamilton and Pesce are going to leave behind for sure. Really appreciate that question, Richard. Thank you. Well, what's really left to say? We've seen all the recaps. We have discussed the differences between the Rangers and the Hurricanes. We have talked about predictions. We have talked about the differences between the two teams and what's it going to take to beat this team in this aspect versus that aspect. We have talked to numerous different people. We have seen numerous different analysts and different points of view of all this entire thing. It is time to drop the puck. Saturday, August 1st, 12 noon, Rangers-Canes, very first game of the entire return of the NHL. I hope you guys are going to be cheering just as loud and proud as I am, and I know I'm going to hear from all over the Caniac Nation. So, from my heart to yours, thank you for watching this special episode of the Florida Caniac Perspective. I cannot wait for hockey to come back. Please, is it Saturday already? Let's hope so by the time you watch this, guys. Be on the lookout for the next episode as we recap this whole series, and hopefully it'll be talking about the next round. As well, guys, thank you again for all the support you have given me. And as always, guys, go Canes!